Welcome to TPM Vid's Disney Beat, where we talk about all things Disney. If you're new to the channel and like what you see, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. You can also find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Over the years, Disney's animatronic figures have been at the heart of many rumors and mysteries. Like, what's up with the disappearance of that little girl in Carousel of Progress? Or the corporate synergy of Dinosaur's terrifying Carnotaurus? And what about Red in Pirates of the Caribbean? Was she actually recycled using the Wicked Witch and Jane from the Great Movie Ride? Well, today we'll dive into some Disney history as we get answers to all these questions and explore Disney's secret animatronic mysteries. Number 3. Carousel of Progress at Magic Kingdom follows a family through the decades and demonstrates the progress and evolution of technology. Now, if I asked you how many kids do John and Sarah have, what would you say? Think about it for a second, but you'd probably say 2, right? James, the son, and then Patricia, the daughter. They're seen throughout the entire attraction. Now, Act 1 shows the turn of the century, and in the first turntable scene, there's this younger daughter with Sarah.
Sarah sure gets the core of the apple.
But we do have this new wash day marvel. Now it takes me only 5 hours to do the wash. Imagine, it used to take 2 days.
Now, before you say it's a younger version of their daughter Patricia, it can't be because shortly after in Act 1, she appears on the right-hand side. We never see the younger daughter again, and she just mysteriously disappears. I've seen many people speculate that because of the time period, maybe she got the Spanish flu or some other illness and passed away. This was unfortunately a very common situation for a lot of families during this time, but the answer to the daughter's mysterious disappearance is solved through a little Disney history. Carousel of Progress as we know it today was a little different than what first premiered at the 1964 New York World's Fair. Technically, this version at Magic Kingdom is the 4th version of Carousel of Progress, and throughout the years, many changes were actually made. From its original run at the 1964 New York World's Fair until the attraction closed at Disneyland in 1973, Act 1 still had the scene where Sarah and the younger daughter were doing laundry. That's been consistent. But the younger daughter made a second appearance in Act 3. While John was pointing out all the technology of the 1940s, there's a scene with the 2 young kids watching TV.
Well, thanks to Progress, Mother and I can spend more time together. We've got the new electronic babysitter. Television is here, and no doubt it will improve. But I'll bet there'll always be the good guys shooting it out with the bad guys.
You can even see this in the model showcased in the Disney World's Fair television special. So originally, it was established that this was an immediate family of 5: John, Sarah, and their 3 children. It all makes even more sense since the original Act 4 only featured John and Sarah plus the family dog and cat. There were no kids or grandparents like we know the scene to be today. Now, a lot of the show's changes happened when it moved to Walt Disney World in 1975. They even did away with There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, and a new theme song was composed by the Sherman Brothers called The Best Time of Your Life.
Now is the time, now is the best time, be it a time of joy or strife. There's so much to cheer.
In addition to the new song and script, there were also substantial scene changes. In Act 1, Jimmy vacuuming was replaced by Jimmy looking through the stereoscope, and in Act 2, Sarah went from ironing again to sewing. In Act 3, the invention of the television was now showcased in the scene with Grandma and Grandpa, and the scene with the 2 young children watching TV was replaced with just Jimmy.
No doubt television will improve and the kids will learn a lot from it. Right now, my son is more interested in models. Airplane models, that is.
I hear. And so do all the neighbors. Good work, Dad.
The move to Walt Disney World was also the first time the entire family was featured in Act 4, and that's when the youngest daughter was erased from history.
But I must say, having the whole family here together on this New Year's Eve is even more beautiful.
I mean, you heard them. The whole family is together. Not, oh, I can't believe our little girl is away at college, we miss her. No, They just didn't include her. Forgot she exists for whatever reason, even though she is part of the family in the first scene. So the reason why she disappears is not the Spanish flu or an illness, it's probably budget cuts. Now that I think about it, Jimmy in Act 4 should still be a young kid, don't you think? It would make a lot more sense since no other family members in the scene have aged. Act 4 is supposed to take place in the future though, so maybe that's why. I don't know, all I know is that there is no doubt that Carousel of Progress is due for an update, and it would be the best time to bring back that younger daughter. She deserves justice. Number 2. When Animal Kingdom opened in April of 1998, Dinosaur was an opening day attraction, but it was originally called Countdown to Extinction. The name change to Dinosaur in 2000 was a result of corporate synergy to promote the Dinosaur film. But it's no coincidence that the film and the ride have overlapping characters. They were both in development at the same time. Now, the story that's been told is that the plan from the beginning was to have the movie tie in with the ride. Joe Rohde's presence on social media offers a wealth of information, and thanks to some secret knowledge from Joe, we learn this is not entirely true at all. So Disney's Animal Kingdom was first announced on June 20th, 1995, and construction began shortly after in August. Most of the plans for the new park were actually finalized by 1993, which would have included Countdown to Extinction in Dinoland.
And then the rest of the land, which leads up to the big dinosaur thrill ride, Countdown to Extinction, which is out there.
In this dramatic thrill ride, your time travel vehicle will journey back 65 million years and put you in the middle of a time when dinosaurs were ferociously alive. The Earth was theirs to rule, but the Earth is about to undergo a cataclysmic change.
Originally, the ride was conceived as its own concept and was completely unrelated to the Dinosaur film. On Twitter, Joe Rohde shared that the original plot for the ride was simply riding the time rover and getting in and out of the late Cretaceous period before the meteor strike, all while evading the terrifying Carnotaurus. There was no Iguanodon in the story until Michael Eisner's synergy push much later on. After all the plans for the ride were essentially finalized, Joe Rohde and the team were then given the task to adapt Aladar, the Iguanodon from Dinosaur, into Countdown to Extinction. If you really think about it, having the Iguanodon be the focus of the story and bringing him back with us is just an unnecessary story point. Looking at where and how the Iguanodon was used, you can tell it was more or less just shoehorned into an existing concept. I mean, the original plot for the ride would have been just as effective, if not more. Now, what's also fascinating to know is that before the ride officially opened on April 22nd, 1998, the original ending did not feature the Carnotaurus, and it was just a countdown to the asteroid exploding. They mainly just used some smoke and lighting effects, but thanks to audio put together by Defining Disney on YouTube, it probably would have looked a little something like this.
We got him! We got him!
Asteroid impact in 3, 2...
Now you can work!
The Carnotaurus that's here today was a very last-minute decision. In a blog post by a former visual effects artist who worked for Imagineering, he said Michael Eisner made a last-minute decision to add the fourth Carnotaurus just 2 weeks before the ride was set to open. The post went on to say that the normal process to build something this large from beginning to end would take 6 months. Everyone in the shop worked on it 24/7, and they ended up shipping it on time. The fact that it was only a static figure on a sliding platform definitely made this tight timeline possible. For the first couple weeks of previews, the meteor effects were active, and then by opening day, the Carnotaurus was installed. Now, the Carnotaurus itself also has an interesting story. The common misconception is that the character in the film inspired the Carnotaurus on the ride, but again, Joe Rohde laid this mystery to rest. In the peak of 90s entertainment, the T-Rex was the most commonly used predator after having been discovered in 1902. Now, Disney wanted something different, so they ended up turning to the Carnotaurus, which was a newly discovered dinosaur in 1984. This was still a relatively unknown species, but its menacing bullhorns made it a perfect fit to be the ride's predator. Since construction on Disney's Animal Kingdom began in August of 1995, Imagineering's Carnotaurus was well into development as the mid-90s approached. Imagineering may have easily adapted Aladar for the ride, but by the time the corporate synergy was being pushed, the film actually had to adopt the Carnotaurus from the ride. It was already the star of the attraction, and honestly, this terrifying animatronic would translate into the perfect on-screen predator. Technically, this may just be the first instance of a Disney theme park ride having inspiration on a Disney film. Now, Imagineers did take some creative liberties and created a Carnotaurus that was substantially larger and wider than what a real Carnotaurus would have looked like. A lot of mechanical components needed to fit inside of the animatronic's head and body, so Imagineering created a new species of Carnotaurus called the Carnotaurus robustus. A real Carnotaurus had these short, stubby hands with a very narrow head, and it would have never been red. According to Rhodey, red was just chosen for scenic and narrative reasons. Even though it might not be the most accurate depiction, the Carnotaurus Disney created has greatly influenced how the dinosaur is portrayed outside of the Disney theme parks. With Dinosaur's countdown to extinction drawing near, it's really unfortunate that we're gonna be losing these terrifically terrifying animatronics from the parks. We just gotta savor these last moments with the Carnotaurus. Number 1. In March of 2018, the newly reimagined auction scene on Pirates of the Caribbean made its debut at Walt Disney World. In addition to completely rewriting the scene, we also got a brand new redhead animatronic. Now, as soon as the ride opened, there was a lot of speculation that Disney recycled Jane's face from the Great Movie Ride and then reused the Wicked Witch for the body. When looking at both Jane and Red, there is no denying their faces are similar, and the Wicked Witch is just as animated as Red. This theory is one that's rumored the most, but there has never been any sort of confirmation. For the longest time, I definitely thought this was the case until I received a message in my DMs. It was from a former Walt Disney World tour guide. They learned a little piece of information from an Imagineer who was working on the auction scene, and they claimed to have an answer to this recycling mystery. They wanted to be kept anonymous, but this is what they had to say about Red. So, first off, the face is not Maureen O'Sullivan. She was the actor who played Jane in Tarzan depicted on the Great Movie Ride. It's the face of an obscure but recognizable mold. It's a slightly altered version of Sarah, the mother from Carousel of Progress.
Tree lights 30% brighter.
Just look at Red. Now that you know this piece of information, doesn't she look an awful lot like Sarah?
It's the rum they want. Bring up the artist.
Remember, hair and makeup can really change an appearance, but they look a lot alike. More alike than Jane from the Great Movie Ride, especially when they're side by side. Now, I think the best way to test this theory would be to take Red's side profile and overlay it with Sarah's side profile. I flip Sarah so they face the same way, and with a simple overlay, this is what we get. I mean, it's almost an exact match, especially with the nose and mouth. I'd say I'm almost 99.9% sure that Red's face is in fact a recycled mold of Sarah. Now, what about Red's body being the Wicked Witch? Well, in that DM, it was said that they had seen the Wicked Witch somewhere since the Great Movie Ride closed, but Red's body was another recycled figure. Well, get this. It turns out Disney used the frame from the George W. Bush animatronic in Hall of Presidents. When Hall of Presidents reopened in December of 2017, George W. Bush went from standing beside Bill Clinton to sitting in front of him. So, could this theory be true? Well, George Bush definitely had a more petite frame when compared to the other presidents, so he could have easily been recycled as the female pirate. Now, he was more of a limited motion figure, but that DM did say they reused the frame itself. Imagineering could have beefed up the mechanics inside to allow the animatronic to have a greater range of motion. So let's get into the timeline of things and see how this recycling theory holds up. So on January 22, 2017, the Hall of Presidents closed to welcome the new president. On June 29, 2017, Disney announced that they would be reimagining the auction scene for Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Now, in July of 2017, the scene made its official debut at Disneyland Paris, but in this version of the scene, Red doesn't speak and she still had limited movement, so it appears they just recycled the old figure and added some new clothes and a wig. Now, after a series of delays, the Hall of Presidents finally reopened at Magic Kingdom in December of 2017. George W. Bush was now seated, and Obama was placed beside Bill Clinton. When comparing Bush and Obama's height next to Bill Clinton, you can see Obama is much taller. So we can confidently say that Disney did not recycle the George W. Bush figure to become Obama. Now, finally, in March of 2018, just 3 months after Hall of Presidents reopened, Red made her grand debut in the reimagined auction scene at Magic Kingdom. So there was 5 months between Hall of Presidents closing and the Pirates of the Caribbean announcement. This would have been prime planning time for the auction scene, where they would be working on budgets and logistics and just putting the final touches on everything. This means there would have been more than enough time for Imagineers to salvage the old George W. Bush animatronic and set him aside. So keeping all of this in mind, we can't say for certain, but it's very likely that the frame from George W. Bush was recycled as Red on Pirates of the Caribbean. Now you might be thinking, if the Wicked Witch wasn't used for Red, then where did she end up? Surely they wouldn't just scrap the animatronic. Well, once Rise of the Resistance opened at Walt Disney World in December of 2019, there was another rumor going around that she was recycled as Kylo Ren. This Kylo Ren specifically. In an official press statement at the time of opening, Disney said there were 3 new A1000 animatronics built for the ride, that being Hux and the 2 Kylo Ren figures. The Wicked Witch was only an A100 figure, so she definitely was not recycled on Rise of the Resistance. Honestly, since the Wicked Witch was Disney's very first A100 figure they built, I wouldn't be surprised if she's saved somewhere in the Disney archives. That anonymous former tour guide did say they had seen the Wicked Witch somewhere after the ride closed, and it even sounded like they were implying it was after the new auction scene debuted. The exact location wasn't disclosed, but it sounds like the Wicked Witch could potentially be saved somewhere on Walt Disney World property. I mean, I guess we'll never really know. So with all this information, I would say we have this Red mystery solved. So what is your favorite Disney animatronic secret? What figure is your favorite? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below to start a conversation, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video.